This is the beautiful New York City Hall. It's like a lot different than the Philadelphia City Hall, but still just as beautiful. And you can see how it's very ornate, you know, made around 150 years ago. You know, this is the beautiful city park too that the City Hall is in. And I think it makes it like really, really nice. We'll just take another little walk around. You can see how the fountain is here. They really fixed up this park compared to a number of years ago. Like, I think it was about 18 years ago they fixed it up. But they made it into just such a great park to be in. You can see here, we'll take another look at City Hall. And everything in New York is under constant renovation. And it's just that everything is so old. So you want to have constant renovation in this city. And here, you can see here, the beautiful park, how peaceful it is to be right in the center of such a big metropolitan area, and then at the same time to have all this just to enjoy. And I think that's almost the luxury of it, where you can see, like, you can be in such an expensive area and have this open space for everyone, and knowing that it's very expensive to maintain this space and to just keep it as a park. I'm sure many developers would just love to be able to purchase this area and put more buildings on there. But for the sake of the citizens, and so for the enjoyment of nature, a lot of times people as a community want to have this open area. And that's where I think the value is, that it's open and free for everyone to use. You can see here the beautiful fountain and people just enjoying the fountain. We'll take a look around the fountain and take another quick look at the City Hall. You can see how many people are here, how many people enjoy it. And this is an area in the distance that is where 9/11 was, and there's a lot of new developments around here. And the tall building in the distance is 4 World Trade Center, and then there's another building there that's the Millennium Hilton right there. And so you can see all these other buildings around here. And that right behind the fountain is where City Hall is. And they put a lot of effort into making this whole area very beautiful. And then right here, right near City Hall, is the Woolworth Building. And around 1914, it was one of the tallest buildings in the world. And so it's very impressive. During 9/11, September 11th, 2001, the new owners of the Woolworth Building were going to be converting it into condos. However, the mayor at the time pleaded with the new owners to leave it as office space because that was going to be very necessary for all the people that needed office space at that time due to the closure of a lot of buildings much closer to the World Trade Center. And so the owners obliged the mayor, and they agreed to not convert it so quickly, to take a little bit more time to convert it. And so this is just taking another look at the beautiful Woolworth Building, which for a long time, for a while, was the tallest building in the world. But of course that didn't last long. You know, here you can see some of the other buildings in the downtown area. And then we'll just take another quick view of the park and everything around here. And then we'll take a look at the buildings on the other side of the street. And we're exiting the park now on the southern side of the park. And you can see how they put a lot of effort into the gates and just seeing everything so that people could see. And there's a number of stores that were down here that have decided to sell to larger developers. J&R Music, for the longest time, was a very popular brand here in the downtown area. However, this real estate has become much, much too valuable just to leave it as a music store. So that building in the distance there, and these other buildings here that were used by J&R are now going to be converted, probably torn down and made into a much larger office space because it makes much more sense than leaving it as just a store. especially just a low-rise store. You can see here an award-winning stainless steel building built by the Related Corporation, and one of the taller residential buildings in the city. So it's a beautiful views from there, and a lot of people just love getting pictures from that residential building. And this is not too far from the Brooklyn Bridge, and we're going to be taking a look at the Brooklyn Bridge later in one of the other videos. But I'm just walking around now to show you the eastern side of City Hall, which is really ornate. And sometimes what's important is to get a good idea of the different city halls that are around. Now, when they built this city hall, New York was just becoming the largest city in the country in the 1850s. So they still didn't have that that view of themselves as the biggest and the best, but they were ambitious. Philadelphia, however, around the 1850s was still the largest city in the country, and they still had that impression of themselves as the biggest and the best. And if you ever see the Philadelphia City Hall, it's like 4 times the size of the New York City Hall. But as I said, the reason for that was that the people of New York still didn't view themselves as like the biggest and the best. And again, we're just taking another view around City Hall and around the park that we were just in. Now, if you remember, we were just looking at this water fountain here, and you can see how it's here. So now again, we're on the eastern side of City Hall, and you might remember that view of City Hall too. But we just want to take a closer view of everything, just to get a better idea of what City Hall is like, because it's such a architecturally great building. It's worthwhile to see. And then we'll take a look at Brooklyn Bridge too. But I think it's one of those architectural gems that different cities have. But the New York City Hall is an architectural gem for New York. And that would make sense, because a lot of times cities want to display what kind of city they are by what kind of architecture they could have in the city, and what sort of vision they have of themselves. So it makes sense that a lot of people, a lot of cities would want that. Now, this is Pace University. Again, it's right next to City Hall, and this is the entryway to the Brooklyn Bridge. So that's just the entryway right next to City Hall. And these are the gates, and due to heightened security concerns, they've maintained much stricter vigilance. Years ago, about 10 years ago, 15 years ago, this whole area was open. People could walk right past City Hall, and they'd have increased security, but you could still walk past City Hall. Now, unless you have business in City Hall, you really can't get in there. It's just normal heightened security. People just want everyone to be a little bit safer, and that makes sense. So you can see the renovations that are going on. Chance to see other part of City Hall here. You know, very nice. How you can see City Hall itself. You know, and I'm very proud of having a New York City like this. And you can see here, City Hall roof replacement. That's really what's going on here. Of course, as you know, a lot of places are old, and this is just to show you an example of what the City Hall is like. So you can read it, pause it, and read it on your own. And here again, you can pause this and read this on your own, you know, to see what's going on here. And you know, it's as it says, one of the oldest city halls around. And we're just going to take another little look around, and I think this can make it very nice for everyone. And because they created this City Hall quite a while ago, when some of the area down here still was not as developed as it is now, it made for it being very easy for the city to kind of set aside all this space for City Hall. And don't forget, Canal Street was one of the areas where they ended up having Canal Street and Chambers Street was one of the northern limits of Manhattan for people. But that is what the way things have changed. So here again is the other side of City Hall. And as I said, the roof replacement is what's causing the obstruction of a great view of City Hall. And you can see how everything is here, and that's the entryway to the Brooklyn Bridge. A lot of people walking over the Brooklyn Bridge, which is very nice. And there's the annex for City Hall too that we'll go past, which is very nice too. You can see some of the other parts of the city and the great architecture that's around here. And we'll take a look at this here. You can see how everything is really great. Like this part of City Hall here. And again, this is Brooklyn Bridge. You can see all the people going past Brooklyn Bridge. Everyone just really enjoys being around the Brooklyn Bridge area. And people just, it's part of the tourist scene. And a lot of people who do live in Brooklyn on a Saturday, which today is a Saturday, would prefer just to walk across because it's so much more enjoyable than just taking the train across. And this building here, right north to the northeast of City Hall, is Municipal Building. That's where a lot of city officials are, and they have their offices. And this building right here is part of the City Hall building, and you can see it's just almost the same size as City Hall. And they recently had a major renovation of this building, and now they're using it as office space. So you can see it's very nice seeing all this. And we'll just take a little quicker view of this, you know, just to get an idea of what this building looks like. You can see it's like one of those European buildings almost, but they did put so much money into it, and it's such a wonderful building to be around. Just like the mayor of the City Hall is also a wonderful building to be around if you're around it, like when it's not under renovation. And this is the back side of the building here, you know, but you can see it's all under renovation here. This building here. And you can see it's just great with the amount of work they put into it. It was a multi-year renovation for them to do that. And it was not easy because there were a lot of permits, and it was a landmark building. So there was so much work that needed to be done to get this building into shape, into the shape they wanted it to be in. But this is, as I said, just an example of the architecture that's here, for the same kind of architecture that City Hall has. So we'll take a little bit different view here, but this is just so everyone gets an idea of what it's like, you know, and same architecture throughout. And this again is the City Hall, but we're right behind the City Hall here. And this is the building that's right next to City Hall. It's affiliated with the city.